This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. This event is brought to you by World Pro Racing, the Malta Motorsport Federation, GMR Entertainment, WJ England & Son, Melita, Media Looks, Restream.io, Gaming Malta, VisitMalta.com, and TVM Sport. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You're risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to World Pro Racing. It's Thursday evenings, and that means GT Sport Casual Races, brought to you in collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation, established back in 2007. And we here at World Pro Racing would like to congratulate Duncan Mikalev as the brand new president of the Malta Motorsport Federation, and hopefully he continues the great work that has been continuing as a member of the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, in other words, the FIA. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, back again for the second time this week, and we're here ahead of a 20-lap encounter around the famed Suzuka circuit, first established back in 1962 in September that year, where John Hugenholtz was given a call by Soichiro Honda to design the track to what we now see in its current iteration. Firstly, we'd like to welcome our viewers from Malta's TVM Sport channel, eSports Television, Motorsport.tv, and the varied associated World Pro Racing live streams on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Please don't forget, you can also follow us on social media. We'd like to say a big thank you once again to Melita, powering the stream, our varied and associated partners and sponsors. Visit malta.com, Gaming Malta, HyperX, AMD, and Thrustmaster. Now, obviously, the GT Sport Casual races that we're running are in the build-up to potentially to have a national championship here on World Pro Racing that will be for Maltese registered drivers and also Maltese national drivers that will be able to compete to have the opportunity of being the sole Maltese representative at the second edition of the FIA Motorsport Games, which in 2020, due to the current pandemic, has been postponed, which will now take place between the 22nd and the 24th of October 2021, all things going well in the host city of Marseille, along with the circuit Paul Ricard in Le Castellet, as planned, as it is run via in conjunction through the FIA and also the SRO Motorsports Group. So the format for this evening will be 15 minutes of free practice, 15 minutes of qualifying, and then a 20-lap race. Now, obviously, with the Gran Turismo Sport platform, we can also increase the tyre wear, and the tyre wear factor this evening will be 9-fold. So there will be pit stops this evening around Suzuka. It's 3.608 miles, 5.807 kilometers. So we're going to see over 61 miles and 116 kilometers of racing action. Suzuka has been steeped in motorsport tradition since the early 1960s. It has had corners such as the Degners, named after the late East German motorcycle rider that defected to Suzuki in the 1960s, Ernst Degner. So he has two corners named after him. Also, the corners were named after him as an art of thankfulness because of the serious burns that Degner actually sustained whilst testing at the circuit. But it was at the honest opinion of the Japanese, because of the amount of work that Ernst Degner had put into Japanese motorcycle competition on two wheels. And over the decades that followed, Suzuka is now Honda owned. It's one of two tracks owned by the Japanese manufacturer. and prefers a lot of four-wheeled action, including Formula One, amongst its many categories, along with Super Formula and Super GT amongst with that. So we should hopefully, let's go onto the track and see what's happening with our competitors here on the Gran Turismo Sport platform. So Michael Merciega in the Nissan GTR GT3, currently topping the timesheets on a 1:59.651 as Mikhail now heads. Then we've also got Silva Pimets in the one of our Finnish drivers here in the 911 Porsche. Currently running at he's about a second off Merciega at the moment. And then in third position we've got Dario Manjon in third place. Then in fourth position we've got Miguel Enriquez in another Porsche, 1.871 seconds off of the Nissan at the moment. So then we've got this car here, which is Mikko Kalervo in the Aston Martin, the V12 Vantage. Good to see that British thoroughbred on the circuit here at Suzuka. And then in sixth position, another Aston Martin. Go, as they say, 2x2, hurrah. And that is Peter Dowling. So what you're seeing on your screens at the moment are actually the gamer tags, according to the PlayStation Network. So obviously we're running on Gran Turismo Sport. Obviously a bit of anime graphics on the side of Peter Dowling's car. And then we go into a driver that is currently in seventh position, and that is Magma Chiega in the 911, rocking the old Martini-style livery there. Currently 4.166 seconds off the pace. Then we go down to the driver in ninth position, who is, let me just have a quick look, that is Ivan Ubeko, ninth place. And then rounding out the top 10 at the moment is actually now, is currently Peter Dowling. So we've got Chris Piteri, currently in ninth place in that very, very dark black Aston Martin with a huge bright red rear wing. So now we're going to get one of the chase cams here, and that is with Bruno Domenici, who's actually just ended up back in the pits, has just done a reset there, as Michael Merciega continues to, well, has just had a penalty issued by the system software of about 3.5 seconds. But Silva Pimets just over a second off. So Merciega currently running on a 1:59.5. And then, Dario Mangion has now gone up into second position and is 0.417 off, I believe. 0.6, my apologies there, having the dark grey metallic, the anthracite grey with the Martini livery on there. On that, doesn't that look glorious, doesn't it? He's now coming through the Snake Complex, and they'll head into, very shortly after this, next right-hander into the left at Dunlop. So now we go on board Dario. Okay, into the Degners, down from fourth to third gear. So demand number one now running towards the hairpin. Pretty much near on full lock. And into 200R. You can just see the rear view camera on the right hand side, just by the air vent that's bringing that into the cockpit. Into Spoon Curve, down from fourth to second gear. Just see how much commitment you're going to need through this corner. Up to third gear. Now the run down the back stretch all the way to 130R. Let's see if the man number one keeps it planted. Fifth gear. This is getting close. We're going to be hitting out nearly 250 kph. Oh, had a little bit of a lift there. The tyres squealing for mercy. Down into the Casio triangle. Okay. Demand number 1 was 0.614 off. Okay, let's see if the time gets bettered. Gets a bit closer, but by only less than 20 hundredths, 16 thousandths in fact. So demand number 1 in the number 20. Trying to close up then Rike 2306 2001. Sounds like a date of birth to me. Currently in 4th position, 1.28 seconds off of Mikhail Machega, who still continues to lead. Miguel 85 in 5th, Lango 666, Iluindi and Chris Pateri 08 round out the top 8 positions. But Mikhail Machega still on a 159.583 in this session. So the number 37 makes its way through Spoon Curve down the back stretch. So Rike now going through into 130R in the Porsche. Takes a nice little bit of curve on the inside. Doesn't run the car out completely wide, heading into the Casio Triangle. Looks to have backed off that lap maybe, or just decided maybe discretion was the better part of valor, but then gets really up to speed. So Rike coming out of the final corner, or last curve as it's known. Stays 4th at the minute. So Rike not getting any closer at the minute to Deman or Stumies, who's now coming around the final corner, I think, there as well. Looks to be just about as much as close as it can be. Okay, yellow flag was just out there briefly, but got retracted. As Lango in 6th position, 2.634 seconds off of the pace. Well, Deman now in the pit lane. And you can see how close that was. That car was running out of fuel. It was on 4% on the fuel mix. So Lango trying to, so yellow flags out again. Obviously, this will be where a driver has had an off-track moment as Lango goes flying into first corner. Now into the Snake Complex. It's literally about carrying the momentum through. And oh! Lango takes a bit too much curve and cheekily gets a bit greedy on the first part of the snake there. And nearly loses the back end out completely. But the envelope has been well and truly pushed by the Nissan in first position. Mikhail Machega now on a 159.2. That's crazy. He's up that by over 0.3 in this free practice session, and we've still got qualifying to go. Demand now getting in the slipstream of Lango, going under the bridge towards the hairpin. Porsche on Aston Martin. Now into the right-hander at 200R. Demand going towards what could have been the outside of 200R. Gets in behind Lango, using the toe here. That's going to allow Demand not to have to worry in terms of the slipstream. And that's going to be quite important. Now into Spoon Curve. It's a right-hander that tightens on itself, and Demand looks to be a bit neater through there on Lango, as now they go down the back stretch. Now, this is where Demand is really, really going to pick up speed in that Porsche. They head towards the infamous 130R. Remember the move that Schumacher back in the early 2000s, around 2006. It was Renault versus Ferrari. You can just see that Demand is trying to do the level best. So this is where it's really going to change things, because Demand now has gone to within a second off of Mikhail Machega. And there is the number 23. The number 23 quite significant because Nissan in Japanese stands for the word go. And it is a number that has been synonymous with the Japanese manufacturer sport history, which includes Super GT, LMP1, when the Nissan GTR LMP1 was brought out, a very different concept to what some of the other competitors at that time were doing, particularly Audi, amongst others, Toyota. So Demand keeping going in this session. Not too sure if it's a long qualifying run here, but seems like Demand really doing a good job at the minute to try and close on the driver that is actually in front on the circuit, and this is going out of the hairpin into 200R. So Michael Machega is he gonna let Demand past? Oh, they bashed door panels going through into Spoon Curve. Not in free practice. Come on, guys. Oh my goodness me, that was definitely new Nomex probably required for the pair of them, as they both were battling for the same amount of tarmac here at Suzuka. Now we go on board with and that's on the run to 130R, and you can just see that Machega's actually on an outlap. He runs wide, collects a bit of AstroTurf in the process. So Michael Machega in first position, still doing the business. Nearly gets a bit sideways in that Nissan coming out of last corner, or last curve. So Ilwindi still currently in 8th position at the moment, or 3.67 seconds behind our fastest driver in the Nissan, Michael Machega. So Ilwindi is Spider Team in the Chevrolet Corvette. Has a moment, spins off track. Chris Jumies in 3rd position, 1.402 seconds. So running on a 2-minute 0.6 in that Porsche. So the Nissan Godzilla definitely proving to be a good call around the track here at Suzuka. Rike in 4th place, 1.659 seconds. So it is Nissan from a trio of Porsches leading the way. So now Rike starting to build up some momentum through 130R. Gets hard on the brakes into the Casio triangle. Now you can hear that 3.8 litre flat 6 turbocharged boxer engine roar out of last curve across the start finish line. So now Rike up to speed into the first corner. Comes the number 37 Porsche, running a little bit wide to carry the momentum through. And now this is where it really makes a difference on your lap if you're very neat and tidy through the snake section and into what they call the anti-banked curve, which then leads into the left at Dunlop as Rike goes it's actually showing as P3 now. So through the first and then into the second of the Degner curves goes Rike. Now up towards the hairpin. Sweep to the right. And that really ends the practice session. So rather interesting. The Nissan really being top dog here at Suzuka at the moment. And this is where it's really going to pay dividends. But the qualifying side of things is going to be completely different altogether once again. It's dependent on who's going to run a light fuel load. As I said earlier in the broadcast, we're going to have 9 times tyre wear in the race. So that could be at least 2, maybe 3 pit stops, depending on how hard the drivers push. So this is where you're going to find out how these drivers are going to perform over the qualifying session. It's a 15-minute quali session, and then we have 20 laps of racing. And realistically, I've got no idea on who's going to be where. on the grid when we go racing for 20 laps. But now we're going to get things underway for timed qualifying. So 14 minutes, 33 seconds left on the clock here at Suzuka. So the benchmark in the free practice session from Imola Chega was a 1 minute 59.2. So let's see if the times do actually decide to dip under the 1 minute 59 second barrier. I think Imola Chega could be the first person to maybe get that opportunity to do that with the powerhouse this Nissan is. Oh, that was Mikael in the background going sideways, got a bit of a tank slapper and caught it quite well coming out of Degner 2 as Machega has a moment of his own. And this is the thing, in cold tyres, out of the, starting things off here in the session. So, Mikael Machega in one of the many Maltese representatives here in this race, this GT3 Suzuka casual race brought to you in collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation, established back in 2007. So Mikael Machega now going towards 130R. Does he lift or does he put it full throttle through the corner? That is fully committed from Mikael Machega. Oh, that was brilliantly done. Now into the Casio triangle, second gear, going out of it around 100 kilometers an hour. You can hear the tyres absolutely screaming at the moment. So now let's stay on board with the Nissan. We're now going to head down, pushing over 250 Ks. Sixth gear down into first corner, all the way down to second gear. Make that third to get the traction coming out of that corner. Now into the Snake Complex. Going to see it be as smooth as possible. And you can just tell that the tyres are just absolutely screaming Blue Mercy around about now. Through anti-banked curve. Now into the left at Dunlop. And the accelerator is going to be pushed hard to the floor. Up to fourth. Now up to fifth. 220 kph into the first Degner at 5 on the apex. Through into the second Degner. Down to second gear. Pushing the power down well and truly. So now up into the hairpin. All the way down to first gear. Nigh on full lock there in the Nissan. Up to second. Now up to third. Through the right-hander at 200R. Up to fifth gear. We're now on the approach to Spoon Curve. Pushing over 230 kilometers an hour. Hard on the brakes. Down from fifth to third. 150. Just look how hard Mikael Machega is now pushing. Now onto the back straight. We're now going to head towards 130R, fifth gear, over 140 miles an hour. That's 230 kph. And, just lifts a little bit, but not by much, by about 15 kilometers an hour through 130R. Time's looking good here at the minute for the Nissan. Out of the final corner through the Casio triangle, Mikael Machega is now going to cross the line. 1 minute 59.692. And look at the differential. Miguel puts in a 2 minute 3.252. And Sarike gets a slowdown penalty, according to the software. So Chris Pitteri, a 2 minute 5.025. Ilwindi, a 2 minute 5.715. Zivano in the Aston Martin. Now comes out of last curve. 2 minute 3.5. 3.8 seconds off of Mikael Machega, but keeps the Aston Martin in third place. So Deman, the number 20 Martini liveried Porsche 911 So Dowlers has just gone through with a 2-minute 4.4. We got 9.5 minutes of this qualifying session still to go. And then we've got a 20-lap race around here at Suzuka, which will cover exactly 61.36 miles or 116.14 kilometers, depending on your choice of imperial or metric systems used in your respective countries. So Demand now heading through 200R. Then into Spoon Curve. Spider Team has apparently left the server. Not too sure if there was a technical issue. 8 minutes and 45 seconds still left on the... As Demand now heads into 130R in the Porsche. Oh, you just see that a little bit of flick there to turn the car in. Ilwindy's just gone second on a 2-minute 2.7. Just keeping an eye on Demand on that particular occasion. Coming out of the final corner, the number 20 Porsche will cross the line. And what is the time from Demand? Going to find out very shortly. Wondering whether that might have just been an outlap. So, the GTR GT3 of Mika Machega. So Lango's just gone in and put it second on a 2-minute 2.064. So Lango doing a really good job there. Demand is the one that we really need to keep our eyes on. So at the moment it is Mika Machega from Lango. Ilwindy Dowlers has put in a 2-minute 4.3, an improvement there. Miguel, Ivano, Dowlers, Chris Piteri, and Enrique rounding out the top 8. Quistumi's currently sitting in 9th. There's Demand currently sitting in 10th position. So Demand coming through the hairpin. A little bit of a bank to the left-hand side. And then into the right-hander at 200R. So it sweeps through before you get the hefty braking zone into the first part of Spoon Curve, which literally comes back on itself. There's Enrique in the number 37 Porsche. There's some drivers yet to set a competitive lap time as we've got less than 7 minutes of the session remaining. Lango has now decided to refuel. So Enrique currently showing in 8th position at the moment. Dowlers has also pitted and refueled the car. So Enrique in the number 37 Porsche puts in a 2-minute 0.334. The fight for pole position is on, but oh my goodness, Quistumi's has just also gone sub 2 minutes, a 1-minute 59.898, and Demand has only managed a 2-minute 0.1864. So the gap between first and second, Mika Machega has got to watch out for Quistumi's, because they are only 0.2 of a second apart. Brilliant job there by the Finn. Fantastic work there in the Porsche. Mika Machega knows that the fight for pole position is on with just over 5 minutes still to go. As Ivano now comes out of the pit lane. Currently sitting in 8th position. Best lap, a 2-minute 3.525. So in a qualifying run, it's about getting the tyres up to temperature, which will also help the brakes. So don't forget, if you want to join us here at World Pro Racing, it's simple. Register at worldproracing.com. You can also have a look at our website to find out further information about forthcoming casual events, special events, championships held on PS4 and PC. Of course, don't forget, we do have our finale event for 2020. So we'll hopefully see in 2021 in the best way possible. At the end of year race, the 90 minutes of Autodromo Nazionale di Monza on the 29th of December. That is a week from this coming Tuesday at 20:30 Central European Time. And Michael Machega again goes quicker. A 1 minute 59.258 from the Nissan, extending the gap over Puistumis to just over 6/10 of a second. But here is Puistumis at the moment coming out, was coming out of the Casio triangle. Rique now pulls into the pits. Deman looking to try and hustle that Porsche forward. As Miguel goes third quickest. Deman goes fifth quickest. Well, that is 1.2 seconds that covers the top 5. So Deman puts in a 2 minute .462. Miguel goes third. Here's Lango currently rounding out the top six at the minute. Best effort from the Aston Martin, 2 minutes 2.064. Ilwindi currently in 7th position. A 2 minutes 2.704. 3.446 seconds off of Michael Macheka, who still leads in the Nissan. So we're getting towards the dying moments of this session. And Ivano in 8th place, looking to improve. And that's a hell of a lot of time to find. 4.267 seconds ahead of the, behind the Nissan Godzilla. Again, dominant, not just in free practice, but looks to be the same in qualifying. 3 minutes on the timer remaining as Dowler's coming out of Spoon Curve, who now heads down the backstretch. Pedal to the metal, foot to the floor. Now the run down to 130R. Let's see how committed the Aston Martin driver is going through. Takes a minimal amount of curb. Now stepping on the brakes. Going to the Casio triangle. Trying to make it as neat and tidy as possible. Out through last curve. Comes the Aston Martin. Goes P6. A good improvement there. A 2 minute 2.035. There's one of the other Aston Martins in the background. As Lango, currently sitting in 7th position at the moment. So Mika Machega currently leading the way ahead of Puistumis, Miguel, Rique, Deman, Dowlers, Lango and Ilwindi rounding out the top 8 as we're getting into the dying moments of this qualifying session before 20 laps of racing here at Suzuka, also affectionately known as Matsusaka, I believe. So based in the Mie Prefecture, just outside of Suzuka City, located in a place called Ino. It has seen fans from across the globe venture their way to the fantastic grandstands, and to hear the stories about the Japanese fan is something that is motorsport folklore. For the drivers putting in their final efforts here in qualifying ahead of the 20-lap race. As we said, 9 times tyre wear here on Gran Turismo Sport. The drivers will have to use strategy over 20 laps of racing. Put themselves on the best foot forward. Puistumis now going through into Spoon Curve. Back end steps a little bit out to the right-hand side there. Manages to keep it under control through the second half of Spoon Curve. 30 seconds on the timer. Is anyone going to break the dominance of Godzilla? Well, it depends on how hard Macheka wants to push. Puistumis now going through 130R, running the car as wide to the side as dead possible. As Rique goes P2, 1 minute 59.829 with literally seconds on the clock. Puistumis now comes out of the final corner and goes top! And goes top by 26 thousandths of a second. Wow. Literally, that was impressive. Mikhail Macheka might still be on a flying lap, but Puistumis. So here is Godzilla coming through the Degnas. That was an impressive lap, right at the dying moments of qualifying. Well, nigh on the last hurrah of qualification. Mikhail Macheka has 26 thousandths of a second to find in this lap to better Puistumis. And this is where it's going to be close. This is what we wanted. A close quarter qualifying session where thousandths of a second would decide who would be on pole position. The Nissan now runs out a little bit wide, coming out of Spoon Curve. Now down the back stretch, heading towards 130R. And Lango is just up ahead of Mikhail Macheka as they both go through 130R. Nice and neat and tidy there for the Nissan. Into the braking zone for the Casio Triangle. Now, is it going to be enough? We're about to find out. Mikhail Macheka comes out of the final corner, across the line. Oh, he does it! Oh, he does it! A 1 minute 59.127. He found nearly a tenth and a half. Oh my goodness me, Puistumis now knows. Now that Porsche, I don't think is going to be... Now Deman has just gone stays in P5, puts in a 2 minute .084. But that really, I think, took the wind out of Puistumis' sails, because Mikhail Macheka with the 1 minute 59.127, that is 0.08 quicker than the time in free practice. Wow, that just shows Godzilla's dominance around here at Suzuka as the timer now finally hits 0. Mikhail Macheka and Puistumis having a ding-dong battle there, separated by, what was it, a tenth of a second. Puistumis really doing a number on Macheka, but Macheka responded. And that's what you want in qualification. So, realistically, the next 20 laps of racing here at Suzuka is going to be anybody's guess, because now we're about to find out. We're now going to the grid. And this is going to be interesting. 20 laps, 61.36 miles, 116.14 kilometers of the Gran Turismo Sport GT3 casual race here at Suzuka in collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation. We now get ready to go racing. Mikhail Macheka will lead the field across the start-finish line as now we go racing here at Suzuka. So, this is where it's going to get rather interesting. So, through into first corner, there's Puistumis. Miguel off the track, and that has allowed the likes of Deman, and that's allowed Lango to... So Miguel in the number 6. Let's have a look at the replay. Hurtling down into first corner. Closing on Enrique. Must have outbraked himself. Look, the back end just steps out. He runs a little bit wide. The back end steps out further to the left. Oh, and he just gets caught up on the AstroTurf on the outside. And that means that Dowlers and Ilwindi now closing. Those two Aston Martins and a Porsche. But Mikhail Macheka being closed in on by Puistumis. Enrique in third, 1.8 seconds off of the leader. Deman up into fourth position ahead of Lango, who looks to be languishing a little bit in the distance. As now this ding-dong battle for 6th, 7th and 8th continues to wage on. They're now going through into the hairpin, so number 85 of Miguel, followed by Dowlers. Go on board with Miguel. Through into 200R, on board the rear windscreen cam of the Aston Martin V12 Vantage GT3. Now into Spoon Curve, nice and neat through the first part of it. As Puistumis starting to close, the gap now down to just under half a second. Mikhail Macheka leads the field into 130R for the first time. Puistumis hot on the heels of the Nissan. Oh, that was close. Slow down penalty. Instant cut track. So Mikhail Macheka will have to serve a 0.9 penalty, and that is going to give Pristumis the lead very early on. As soon as they hit the penalty zone, it will be slowdown time for the Nissan. So that really, it was that cut coming into, I think that was going into 130R, that as soon as the system software recognized it, Michael Machega got a penalty. So that means that Pristumis has that opportunity. Riquet now battling away with Deman, and this is for third place on the road. So it's already kicked off, and we've not even completed the second lap of racing. And this, I did say it was going to get rather interesting. So now it looks like, where is this? Now the biggest thing is the slowdown zone will be coming up very shortly. I think after, it's going to come, I think after the hairpin, if memory serves me correctly. I'm not that well versed with the Gran Turismo Sport platform, but as soon as we see the slowdown zone, Pristumis will take the lead over Michael Machega, which means that the Nissan is going to have to push like crazy. So our leader gets into a bit of bother before we've really got this race going. So Pristumis in second. Deman now past Lango for third place. Miguel in fifth. Dowlers. So what? Now, I've just been informed that if Michael Machega wants to reduce the penalty, he can slow down in the corners. So he did slow it down by 1/10 of a second. So there is the man in third place. And Lango's got a 2-second penalty. So two of the drivers so far in this race, which includes our race leader, they can slow down in the corners to reduce the penalty, as I've been big thank Justin Mifsud, our broadcast director, for giving me that information. And also we have to send our get well soon wishes to Nathan Mifsud, who is in hospital at the moment recovering. So Nathan, all the very best in your recovery from us here at World Pro Racing, buddy, and we'll hopefully have you back with the team soon. So Michael Machega has now got the slowdown penalty down to 0.8 of a second. You can see the gap fluctuating between him and Pristumis. There is the man in third place. Dowlers in sixth is ahead of the Porsche of Riquet. So, moment there for Dowlers. Riquet gets through. And they're now heading through the Degners, so that would have been through Dunlop. The entrance into Dunlop through the anti-banked curve there for Dowlers. Ilwindi, currently in 8th place at the minute. Very reminiscent of the 959 Dakar Rally colours. If anyone remembers that old supercar of the late 80s, early 90s. I'm showing my age there, unfortunately. But those were very similar colours to the Porsche 959, the first ever main supercar that Porsche were known for. Obviously, the current generation is the 918 hybrid. So through into 130R. Comes Michael Machega. Oh, that's the run wide from Pristumis and a half. So let's have a look here. Right, okay. Heading into 130R. Pristumis currently at full speed. Into 130R. Goes to the left. Oh, just runs out wide and catches the AstroTurf. Kicks up a little bit of dust coming out of the corner. That was full commitment, I must be completely honest. But that has lost him time. So there is the man. So we're on lap number 4 out of 20. And as we said, 9 times tyre wear this evening. As you can just hear the Aston Martin Vantage's tyres on Miguel's squealing for Blue Mercy. Riquet in the number 37 Porsche closing in on the Aston Martin. It's 13.37 seconds off of the leaders. Cam actually coming down all the time. Neil Windy still in 8th. Then we go to our drivers in 9th and 10th position. Chris Pitteri in 9th. Currently running in the number 8 Aston Martin, and Ivano in the... Ivano having a moment. Oh, and glances with the barriers on the right front. Coming out of Degner 2. And Michael Masiega has now got that slowdown penalty down to 0.6 of a second. But look at the gap between him and Puistumis. Puistumis having that moment earlier on. The gap is now around 1.7 seconds. But the biggest question is, folks, who is going to be the first driver to go into the pit lane? We've had a moment there for Rique, battling away with Miguel. And Rique, that's going through Spoon Curve. The back end steps out and he does a 360. Oh, and that loses the number 37 Porsche 2 places. I'll make that 3 because now Rique is behind Chris Pitteri. It's getting very competitive as always here on World Pro Racing. This GT Sport. GT3 Casual Race at Suzuka, brought to you in collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation. Slowdown penalty for Michael Masiega, now half a second. Gap between him and Puistumis is about 1.6 at the moment. We're on lap number 5 out of 20. And Masiega has the fastest lap, or 2:01.65. Chris Pitteri, who we're on with at the moment, currently sitting in 8th place, and as Rique closing on the back, that humongous bright flame red rear wing of that Aston Martin is... Oh, Rique goes round the outside at Dunlop. Fantastic move there by Rique in the number 37 Porsche. Lost 3 positions, gains 1 back, and gains my utmost respect going around the outside of Chris Pitteri through Dunlop, and now they've exited the Degner corners. And Lango in 4th place still has a 1.9 slowdown penalty. Originally had a 2-second slowdown, but has about 2.4 seconds between himself and Miguel, I think, in 5th place at the moment. So still has enough time. Yeah, so it's just over 2.2 seconds between the pair. And the gap still between 1st and 2nd position is around 1.6 seconds, or just above 1.7 now. As Michael Masiega now comes across the line, goes on to lap number 6 out of 20. So I haven't seen anyone pit quite yet, but I can guarantee that there will be pit stops. They might start very soon, as Masiega now gets another 10th off of that slowdown penalty. Possibly lap 8, we might, or lap 9, we might see people dive into the pits, but it depends on how abusive they have been to their tyres since we went lights out 5.5 laps ago. We now go on board with the leader. Going through the first of 2 Degners. Going to the second one. Now you can just see at the moment, so Michael Masiega still has plenty of wear on those tyres. So some drivers conserving the tyres, you can see that the pace that the leader that actually took pole position by over 1/10 of a second in qualifying is actually conserving the tyres. And qualifying, you absolutely go for it. In a race where you've got tyre strategy, it's a very, very different proposition altogether. But it looks like these drivers are still keeping on pushing. But I'd be interested to see which cars are going to be the first ones to sort of like blink first. So Lango, let's see if Lango's penalty has gone down any further. Not quite yet, but Miguel in fifth place is actually closing. There's less than a second left. So some drivers really starting. Oh, Lango's the first one to blink. Into the pits comes the Aston Martin, and it's got 10. Looks like 10% worth of fuel left. Right. Let's see how quick this pit stop is. Going to have to wait for fuel. So it is all automated. So it's down to Lango just to wait. So now, full tank of gas, fresh set of boots, out goes Lango, still with a 1.9 second slowdown penalty. As Macheg has done some really astute driving at the moment. That gap was a second penalty. Slowdown penalty is now just 0.2. So we're now on lap number 7 out of 20. I think I did see the ninth place driver in the pits a bit earlier as well. So we've had a couple of drivers already blink, and it looks to be that the Aston Martins were the early casualties, judging by the amount of tyre wear that they might have subjected their tyres to. The leader now comes out of Spoon Curve, heading down the back stretch. So it looks like some people are going long, and the Nissan looks to be one of them. Through into 130R once again. Costumi's about 1.6 seconds adrift. Some drivers might have to do a 2-stop strategy. Some drivers might eke it out into a 1-stop strategy. We'll have to see how the tyre conservation is. As Machega, the leader pits. The leader now pits from first place. And it looks like Pristumis and a man have also responded in kind. So this possibly could be a 2-stop strategy from the top 3 that have just come in. As Miguel now takes the lead. So at this particular point, Pristumis looks to now have the leaders Ilwindi and Enrique now also pit. So it looks like a 2-stop strategy could be the best call. As we're now on to lap 8 out of 20. And well, Pristumis actually managed to get the jump on Miguel. So Pristumis in the pit stop phase has now got the lead of the race. So Ilwindi comes out in 7th. Chris Spiteri still in the pits at the moment, just taking on fuel. They'll release the Aston Martin very, very shortly. So Pristumis has a lead of just around 2 seconds off of Miguel. And Michael Machega now will start to push, because he sees both bullseyes in his eyesight. The crosshairs well and truly locked on the opposition in front. So he's got Miguel to deal with first, and then try and close on the Porsche of Pristumis. So it's Porsche versus Aston Martin versus Nissan in the top 3 at the moment. They now head down the backstretch, roaring their way up to 130R. There is the man. They're also heading up to 130R, currently sitting in place at the minute. So Pristumis leads after 8 laps completed. We're now going to go on. Gal now pits. Oh, that is a long first stint for the Aston Martin. This could be the dark horse of the field. As Lango has now got that penalty down to 1.6 seconds. The slowdown penalty, that is. But Michael Machega, who's now in 2nd position. As Miguel comes out of the pits, Lango sweeps towards the outside, gets through into first corner. So we're fast approaching the halfway point of this 20-lap race here on Pro Racing on the GT Sport platform. This race is brought to you in collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation. Why not join us on the community? WorldProRacing.com is where you need to register. We hold weekly casual races, special events and championships on both PS4 and PC platforms. So Pristumis has nearly a 3.9 second lead over Michael Machega. But the latter holds the fastest lap. So Miguel on fresher rubber now closes on Lango. Oh, the nearly a distance coming through the hairpin. But Miguel looks to have that car a bit more sorted. Lango languishing a little bit in front, but still has a 1.6 second slowdown penalty. Go on board with Lango. This is the battle for fourth place. They're now coming out through the second part of Spoon Curve. Now down the back stretch. Heading towards 130R. Two V12 behemoths heading through one of the fastest corners. As it looks like Ivano has retired from the race. Disconnect there. Real shame. So Miguel now has the slipstream on Lango, going down the main straight. Heading towards first corner. Miguel looking towards the inside. Was not close enough. But gets a bit closer coming through the exit of first corner now into the snake section. This is where he can make up a bit of time on the driver in front. And it's looking rather up close and personal between these two Aston Martins. Now through into the Degners. Miguel does the sensible thing and backs away a little bit. Just trying to put the pressure on Lango just to force a mistake. An unforced error, if you will. Tight through the hairpin, now into the right-hander at 200R before the approach onto Spoon Curve. Miguel doing very level best. Now into Spoon, into the first part. Miguel takes it a little bit tighter, runs a little bit wide through the first part, now into the second part of it. Miguel trying to get that switch back. To get himself into the toe on Lango, which he does coming down the back stretch. Now the run to 130R once again. They both jinx to the left-hand side. Both get through there cleanly. Now into the Casio triangle. Please don't make it happen that there's a Senna and Prost 88 style moment. Oh, thank goodness for that. As Lango gets a bit of a tap. And Miguel gets compromised on the exit, but he manages to switch up towards the inside. Lango had what we called a new Nomex moment right there and then. Enrique not too far behind Miguel, looking up the inside of Lango. Lango not letting the door stay open for that long, but that could have gone horribly wrong for both Lango and Miguel, because Enrique was just behind them on that particular occasion. We're on to lap 11 out of 20. We're past the halfway point, and this is an absolutely enthralling battle so far. So the drivers really pushing like crazy, and Miguel isn't done yet. Going into the Degners, Lango still ahead of the 85. You can just see how hard they're pushing. You can hear how hard they're pushing. The tyres being absolutely tortured as they go towards the hairpin. Miguel going towards the outside. Is he going to try and get the cut back to go up through 200R. Not on this occasion, because Lango knows how to make that Aston Martin Vantage GT3 V12 as wide as humanly possible. This is an absolute treat. If qualifying was the main course, this is the definitely the high sugar desserts, maybe a cheesecake or some sort of fondant, but we're being treated to an absolute festival of speed here. And these two are not giving up. Miguel towards the inside. He's pulling alongside Lango. Going down the backstretch. Lango's got the legs on him, going through into 130R. Miguel puts it up the inside. Is he going to get it done? No, he isn't. Lango knew where to put that car exactly at the right place at the right time. But Miguel squirms under the brakes, going through into the Casio triangle. Lango's still ahead. He's got his gap down, his slowdown penalty down to 1.3 seconds in the meantime. As Miguel runs wide. Miguel runs wide. Rique manages to capitalize. Okay, let's have a look at the replay here. Through into the Casio triangle. Miguel looks to get the switch back through the final corner. He has a little bit of tussle with Lango, and as a result of that, the Aston gets nearly beached in the kitty litter on the exit of the last curve. Oh my goodness, and he's got more dramas. More dramas through the first corner. That car is not one happy chappy. And through the gravel does not one happy driver make, I must say. Pistumi's at the moment still leading. Around lap number 12 out of 20. Just over 2.7 seconds ahead of this driver, Mikel Machega, who set fastest lap in free practice. Pole position in qualifying. Fastest lap at the moment, but it's 2.7 seconds adrift as we are fast getting into the business end of this race. A good effort from Deman so far going into the second half of this race. We're on lap number 12 out of 20. We'll be on lap number 13 very, very soon. So if the top three pitted on around about lap 7, lap 8, I would expect a final pit stop around lap 15, 16 at the very, very latest. Especially with the 9 times tyre wear. Dowler's currently sitting in 9th position at the moment. And bit of a distance off. Chris Piteri's got the slowdown penalty down to 0. He's currently sitting in 8th position. It'll windy a further few seconds up the road as Lango now battling with Rique. So if Lango didn't have enough pressure, he's got it coming from the 37 Porsche as Rique slingshots up the inside on the exit of 130R into the Casio triangle. Neatly done. Well done. I doff my cap to thee, Rique. That was a great move. Nice and textbook. Didn't, pressurize Lango into possibly making an unforced error. But Lango knew to give Rique enough racing room. And in the background, you can see Miguel in the Aston Martin, a bit too far behind in the 85. Now back out on track, but is 5.8 seconds behind Lango. And so Miguel's possibility of having a top 4 finish has definitely been thrown to the wolves, I'm afraid. Pistumi's still leading, 2.8 seconds. On lap number 14 out of 20, now heading into double left at Spoon Curve. Neat and tidy from the Porsche. And now heading down the backstretch. There's the man, who's 4.1 seconds behind Mikel Machega, who's currently in 2nd position. So Lango has now given up the ghost with Rique and has decided, well, I'm going to settle for 5th position. He's had great battles with Miguel and Rique in this race. And Lango, I have to give credit where credit is due. Oh, right. Pistumi's in for a 2nd pit stop. Oh, look at that. Look how close on the fuel. 1% in the tank. Okay. Now, it's dependent now on what this driver does, Mikel Machega. And then also you've got to figure out what Deman is going to do. So these two drivers really need to get a hustle on. They might not have much tyre adhesion left, but they've got to try and push it and leave the most minuscule amount of fuel in that tank, just like Pistumi's showed us, with 1% on the fuel tank remaining. Lango, also on the wire in the Aston Martin. 1% on the fuel tank. Okay, so Machega now. This is lap 14 out of 20. So I would hazard a guess. Yeah, you can see the back end stepping out there. So I think that Machega, if he wants to be brave, might do one more lap after this and push it out until sort of like, say, the end of laps, you know, what would be the end of lap 15. Because we're on lap 14 at the moment. Machega now going through the back stretch. Deman in second. Pistumis has now resumed in third place. Now the biggest question is, will Pistumis be compromised on fuel? Because on lap 13, right, let's just keep our eyes on Mika Machega. Through the Casio triangle, will the 23 Nissan pit? Yes. Okay. So the back end was stepping out on that car. Deman now pits in response. So Pistumis now is going to come through the Casio triangle and has done the undercut. Pistumis has made it work again, and now has clear air. That's the biggest thing. If Machega had kept it out for another lap, could he have lost time? So Pistumis has gone past. Deman now comes out of the pit lane. And we're on to lap number 15 out of 20. So it's effectively a 5 2/3 sprint to sprint to the finish from this moment on. Rike is now pitted. Now drops down to 5th place. So the gap between the two leaders, well, it's about how quickly Mika Machega hooks those tyres up in the Nissan. Because look, he can see Pistumi's just up ahead. They've both gone through the two Degners. Mika Machega has no penalty now, no slowdown penalty. The gap is around about 1.9 seconds. Through the hairpin, now into the right-hander at 200R. Up to 5th gear. Now hard on the brakes. You can see the tyres, you can hear the tyres being tortured by every single corner we go through here at Suzuka. But now this is where Mika Machega has to close the gap on Pistumis, and Pistumis knows it's coming. He's waiting for Godzilla to throw that right-hand haymaker in his general direction and say, right, game on, buddy. As, oh, that's a move and a half. Well, that was cheeky. Dowler's up the inside of Lango through the first Egner, absolutely licked the stamp and sent it. Well done by Dowlers. Up into P7 goes the Aston Martin. I think that caught everyone unawares, including myself as well. But that was a great job there. So, Pistumis still keeping the lead. But it's dependent on a couple of things. As I said, Pistumis pitted one lap earlier than Mika Machega and Deman. And those two could have the upper hand. If Pistumis needs to fuel save, that needs to happen sooner rather than later. Because I think they all push the envelope out. Miguel now pits on lap number 16 out of 20. Machega now trying to close down on Pistumis. That was a little bit close on the track cut there for the first Egner, but got away with that. But Pistumis is now trying to respond. Because Mika Machega trying to get that gap down. It's now going to start coming down as the Nissan builds pace. When the Nissan builds pace, the Porsche tends to have to wait to see what transpires behind, but then gets a good, you know, gets on well in the brakes. And there is Dowlers now pitting, and that is Lango also pitting. So they were running as long as they dare in that session. So the gap now down. Oh, it's getting closer. It's getting closer. Pistumi's now. Right, Pistumi's has just responded as putting the fastest lap of anybody. 1 minute 59.941. But Mika Machek. Did I just see a 157.7? You've got to be kidding me. Mika Machega has actually got the fastest lap, so that 157.7 must have been disallowed. But look at the gap now. It's coming down. We've got a fight on our hands for the lead. Mika Machega put in a 159.924. The gap now less than a second. He's now going to try and close on Pistumi's. So by running that little bit longer, that has probably given the Nissan the best opportunity possible to close in on the Porsche. Look, we now go back on board with the Nissan now. It's running in the Schulze Motorsport colours through the second Degner. And this is about who wants it the most. Who's going to defend like crazy, Pistumi's, and who's going to do the attacking, and that is Mika Machega. The biggest thing here is that it is one thing to be chase, and it's another thing altogether to do the chasing. If you're the one doing the chasing, you've got less pressure on your shoulders. The guy in front can feel the heat. As they say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Pistumi's now knows that he's got to hold on. Right, they hurtle their way down to 130R once again. Gap coming down still. Less than 9 tenths going into 130R. So Masieka has to be really, really good on the brakes in the Casio triangle, and then get a good run. Okay, now keep your eyes on this, because this gap, because at the moment Mika Masieka not in close enough proximity to send a move up the inside. So we're on lap number 18 out of 20. And on this particular occasion, the gap has not decreased as much as we might have hoped. Yeah, it was a 2.3 from the Nissan. The gap is still around about 8 to 9 tenths of a second, as they're just trying to squeeze as much grip out of the tyres as humanly possible. Oh, that's a good run. That's a good run by the Nissan. Coming into the two Degners, gap to about half a second now. Into Degner 2. Oh, hold on to it. Oh, hold on to it. Oh, well kept. Well kept indeed. Because at one moment that could have broken traction and sent the car spinning. And now, Pistumi's knows that Mika Machega has an opportunity to close up. Pistumi's has been leading for the majority of this race since the first of two pit stops that the top three have done in this race. We thought that some people were going to do the one-stop strategy a la Sergio Perez, who now has departed Racing Point after the end of the 2020 Formula 1 season. Now into 130R we go. Gap now coming down. It's less than... It's coming up... Oh, look at the slipstream now. Oh, Mika Machega now in striking distance. Oh, we're going to have a grandstand finale here at Suzuka. And look outside, the Nissan is through the apexes on the Casio triangle. Through last curve. The Nissan right in the slipstream. Pistumi's goes defensive. And it's side by side into first corner. Quisjumi's hanging on by a string thread at this particular moment in time. Mika Machega in second, right on the back bumper of the 911 through into the Snake Complex. And you can just see how hard they're both pushing. One defending, one attacking. Now into Dunlop. The Nissan Tizer on the apex. The Porsche running a little bit wide. Here's Quisjumi's having to conserve fuel. Now into the Degners. The Porsche gets a little bit tail happy. Traction brakes a little bit to the left. Oh, again through the second Degner. Mika Machega now has that weakness spot exposed directly in front of his eyes. Through into the hairpin. Keep your eyes on the Nissan. Goes tight to the inside. Oh! Quisjumi's loses the back end to the right. Coming out of the hairpin. Those tyres, I think, could be very well gone on that Porsche. As the Nissan again, it's nearly side by side. Through 200. Oh, they bang door panels. Through into Spoon Curve. Machega's going to get the cut back. Quisjumi's runs wide through the second half of Spoon Curve. And the Nissan retakes the lead. Ha ha! Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff down the back stretch to 130R. Quisjumi's has got to make a move and has got to make it now. Now has the opportunity to chase the Nissan through into 130R at 235 kilometers an hour. Into the right of the Cassio triangle. Now into the left. Quisjumi's is losing traction to the Nissan. Look at the gap. That's half a second. Final lap board out. Here we go. The Nissan of Mika Machega leads Quisjumi's in the Porsche by over 4 tenths into first corner for the last time. Now into the Snake Complex. The thing is, Quisjumi's has less than, what is it, probably about 4.5 kilometers to go. And look how close the Porsche is now. The gap now is getting closer, but Quisjumi's is struggling. The back end of that Porsche is not 100% happy. I think the tyres have started to go off. And Mika Machega bided time, waited for the opportunity, and by golly, did that Nissan take it. Up to the hairpin for the final time. It has been absolutely stupendous. The strategies played out before our very eyes here at Suzuka. Through 200R. Now the double left at Spoon Curve for the Nissan to negotiate. And it has been a clean sweep so far. Fastest lap in free practice. Fastest lap in time qualifying. Fastest lap of the race. And on the 19th and penultimate lap of this 20-lap race here at Suzuka, we are coming through to the dying throes of the GT Sport Casual Racer Suzuka in collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation. Now, one more corner remains, and it is perfection guaranteed for Mika Machega, who crosses the line to take the victory by 2.2 seconds ahead of Quisjumi's. It's a second Porsche in the top three, courtesy of Deman in third place. But what a job by Mika Machega. Quisjumi's gallant in defeat, fought until the bitter end. Here at Suzuka, domo arigato, as they say in Japan. Thank you so much for what has been a fantastic race. Looks like Rike will take fourth ahead of Miguel Ilwindi. So there we go. Rike takes fourth place ahead of Miguel Ilwindi now. Coming through Spoon Curve for the final time. Down the back stretch. As the Porsche roars its way towards the checkered flag. here at Suzuka. So, we wait for Il Windy to now come through the Casio triangle for the final time. Through the final corner comes the Porsche, and Il Windy takes 6th position. We're going to go to some interviews very, very shortly here on World Pro Racing, but Mika Machega takes the win by 2.2 seconds here at World Pro Racing at the final GT Sport race of the season. Brought to you in a collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation here, live and uninterrupted. What a race. What a race. Oh my goodness me. So, just to really sort of give you an idea, that's the first ever time I've commentated on Gran Turismo Sport, and that I have to say that is absolutely a fantastic platform, and great racing by every single driver here this evening. So let's go to our first driver. Let's congratulate our winner, Mika Machega. Congratulations on the penultimate lap of the race. You had the pace on Silver, and you got the job done. Well done. Congratulations. Great drive tonight. Hopefully Mikhail can hear me.
Hi.
Yeah, well done. Congratulations. A perfect evening in the office. Fastest lap in free practice, fastest lap in time qualifying, giving you pole position. And you got the win and the fastest lap in the race. You must be feeling ecstatic right now, Mikhail.
Yes, especially thanks first of all for the good race. Qualifying went good even in the first stint. Then in the second stint we had the trouble because I think I overfueled the car. That's why I spent more time in the pits.
Mm-hmm.
Then I spent second stint. I done a lap extra, so I think that helped me to have a lighter car and better tires at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really good to see that the Nissan is definitely a car to be reckoned with, but the Porsches did give you a run for their money tonight, didn't they?
Yeah, especially in the corners, the car was sliding at the end of the stints. But in the end, I had the speed advantage in the straights, which helped me to at least stay in front in the end.
Well, Mikhail, congratulations. Well done tonight. And thank you very much for an entertaining race.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Okay, let's turn our attention to our second place finish. Silva Pimets. Silva, the strategy call you played in the Porsche, very, very good indeed. Obviously, you were one of the first people to pit, electing to do a 2-stop strategy. But was the Porsche struggling with the rear tyres towards the end of the race?
Yeah, so at the end, it was quite slidey. I was playing around with the brake balance constantly to have the front and rears wear evenly, but at the end, it still got really slidey, and Mikhail was pushing me all the way, so I was going a bit harder on the tires than I was expecting, and also nearly ran out of fuel at the end. So a bit of a miscalculation in the second pit stop, but yeah, overall, really good race, and thank you to Mikhail as well for the amazing race.
Yeah, I sort of thought that might have been the case because you pitted a lap ahead in the second pit stop phase ahead of Dario and Mikhail, and I was sort of like wondering, is he going to be tight on fuel? I hate to think what the percentage was, because when you came in for your second pit stop, Silver, it was 1% on the fuel tank, and I thought that's cutting it fine, and you weren't the only one.
The fuel was 0% at 130R in the end, so I was basically coasting over the line. In the first pit stop, I actually underfueled the car by 1 lap, so I was fuel saving for the whole second stint, and barely made it into the pits there as well, and went for the overfuel, but still wasn't enough.
Well, Silver, thank you very much for providing me with such to commentate on this evening, and congratulations this evening as well.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll go to the last of our top 3. two of three Porsches that actually were on the podium. Dario Mangion. Dario, great job this evening. I know you didn't have the pace of both Mikael and Silva, but you gave it your best shot, didn't you? Yeah. I was just about to say he needs to unmute at the moment. So, Dario, if you can hear me, congratulations on your third place this evening. I don't know if we're going to be able to speak to Dario at the moment, but just bear with us. I'm just having a message being sent to me at the moment. So, I mean, effectively, this has been the... Hello? Oh, hang on a second. There we go. Dario, thank you very much for competing this evening. Just really wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Firstly, the pace of the Porsche in comparison, obviously, with Mikael and Silva, who finished 1 and 2. You had a bit of a tall order, but you did your level best.
Yes, definitely. I was very happy with the beginning. I had a bad qualifying, so I was just putting pressure on the guys in front of me, and I managed to make up 2 positions in the beginning. Then the first 2 stints were, I believe, pretty good. I was managing the tires well and was around 4 seconds behind Mikael. But then on the last pit stop, I overfueled by a lap, and I couldn't keep the pace. And I fell back, and I was just taking it, to be honest. So, well
I still have to commend you on your noble efforts this evening, Dario, and thank you very much for taking part in this evening's race here on World Pro Racing.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, well, that's about it from us here on World Pro Racing. This GT3 casual race on the Gran Turismo Sport platform at Suzuka has been brought to you in collaboration with the Malta Motorsport Federation. A big thank you to all our viewers on TVM Sport, Esports TV, Motorsport.tv, and the World Pro Racing Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels. Also, a big thank you to Melita, visitmalta.com, Thrustmaster, AMD, HyperX, and Gaming Malta. This is Alex Goldschmidt signing off for now. We'll see you very soon here on World Pro Racing. Good night and stay safe.
This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. This event is brought to you by World Pro Racing, the Malta Motorsport Federation, GMR Entertainment, WJ England & Son, Melita, Media Looks, Restream.io, Gaming Malta, VisitMalta.com, and TVM Sport. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, Experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's just so dangerous. You're risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.